All right, what is going on, everybody? Today we are playing some Hockey Ultimate Team. I got some challenges that I have to do, so in the background you will be seeing some rookie Ultimate Team gameplay. Apologies for those of you craving a little bit more competitive gameplay, but I need to do these challenges, and the easiest way to do them is by just messing around on rookie and scoring goals with the cards that you see here. For those of you that aren't aware, they're doing a little Four Nations event, and if you score goals with Four Nations players from four of the different countries that are playing in the tournament, you get some collectibles, and then you can also get an 88 overall player. So that's going to be the gameplay in the background today, and fitting that this is the challenge that we're doing because I do actually want to talk about the Four Nations tournament today while we play. So for those of you guys that don't know, the NHL is doing a Four Nations face-off these next, I believe, 2 weeks, and those four countries playing in a tournament are Canada, U.S., Sweden, and Finland. Should be pretty fun. I am very excited to see international hockey. Obviously, there's an elephant in the room, being that not not all the countries that you would want to see just from a hockey fan perspective, right? Forget everything else. If you're just looking from hockey purist, obviously missing a lot of teams like Russia, Czech Republic, Slovakia. Um, I'm blanking on a few. Germany should be there. You have a lot of teams here, and there's others. I mean, there's other countries that have been doing great as well in international competition. I don't know where the rankings are, at least for the IIHF, but I mean, 2014, in the Olympics, we saw Slovenia in there. We've seen Latvia make a huge. I mean, obviously their junior team beating Canada was crazy. So there's definitely a. It feels like we're missing out a little bit, and that we don't have everybody that should be there, at least hockey wise, being there. But it is what it is. You make the best of the situation, and I still think that when the puck drops on this tournament, it's going to be awesome. And just seeing international hockey at this level after not seeing it since 2016, which is absolutely unbelievable. I can't believe it's been 9 years since we've seen international hockey. Like, that blows my mind. At least at the high, again, the highest level with NHL players being in the tournament. So I think once the puck drops on Wednesday, first game is Canada Sweden, which, my God, what a good way to start the tournament. That's just going to be unreal. Just seeing these players play for the country it's going to be awesome. It's going to be intense. And I guess I wanted to talk a little bit about how I think the tournament's going to go and who I think has the best odds. So obviously, the easy pick is Canada. They always are. They've been the team that has won, every at least senior tournament for hockey. I mean, since what, 2010, right? They won 2010 Olympics, 2014 Olympics, 2016 World Cup of Hockey. The World Championship's a little tricky because when it comes to the World Championships, you're getting a kind of a blend of NHL players, and a lot of NHL players are either playing in the playoffs for their NHL teams at that point, or they just got bounced from the playoffs, so they don't go and play in the World Championship. So it's kind of hard to look at the World Championship as kind of a measuring stick to see, like, where certain teams are going to play. So overall, really, you have those three tournaments to look at. I mean, 2010 is so long ago, 2014, so 2016 is really like the close, which still, I mean, it's almost a decade ago, so it's kind of hard to even use that as a gauge as to how it's going to play out. But I really do think, again, the easy one's Canada, but for context, I am American, and I do think that the Americans have a really good shot at doing well in this tournament. I think they got a lot of skill. Obviously, maybe not as gritty, but Canada. I don't know if Canada's as gritty as they used to be either. I mean, the game has changed over the years, so I don't know if you can really look at any of these teams and be like, you put them against any international team from like the past, heck, I mean, from 2010. I just thinking of the guys on Canada like a Ginla, like the fact that Jerome Ginla was as good as he was, and you know, guy could score 50 goals in a year and he could fight you too. Like there's not really many players like that anymore, so it's going to be way more high octane of a tournament, which 2016 kind of was already showing that, right? 2016 was definitely the World Cup of Hockey was already kind of showing you the little bit of transition of the game. So I think that this tournament will kind of again showcase that. You know, you're gonna have a lot of speed, a lot of skill, maybe a lot of goals. I don't know. And that's probably the most interesting thing about this tournament is like how is it going to be coached? I mean, I saw a quote from John Cooper, who's going to be coach of the Lightning, going to be coaching Team Canada, and he was basically saying this is like these are 3 Game 7s because you have this round robin, you have to take one of the top 2 spots in a tournament to play in the final. So Game 1 matters. It's not like Olympics where you can kind of get away with a subpar first game or two and then kind of go on a little roll throughout the round robin and you know make it into the I forget the terminology because it's been so long since I really paid attention to international hockey, but um, basically you can get away with a bad game 1, even bad game 2, and still make it into eventually make it into medal rounds and you know all that. But I wonder if it's really gonna have like that playoff intensity in the first game. I think it will. I do think it will have that intensity. I just wonder like how is that gonna translate to the like to the actual games themselves and the way that they're played. Is it gonna be like you know we're all right? We're in the middle of a playoff series and you know in May, you know conference final type of feel, or is it gonna kind of be like high octane, just kind of not like don't get me wrong, like it's not. I don't think there's gonna be. Finally, I scored a goal with Lindell and playing on rookie. I can't even score with these guys. Um, but I think I think it'll be intense, but it's not gonna be like 2-1 intense. I think it'll be 6-5 intense. So think of the first round of the NHL playoffs. I think that's what this tournament's gonna look like. It is just that insanity, lots of goals, and yes, physicality, even from players that like I was saying, you know, maybe they aren't as physical as they used to be. I mean, there's still some pretty tough guys in the tournament. You know, not pushovers. These guys are you know still hockey players at the end of the day. Maybe you know they're not built like they were you know 20, 30 years ago, but still going to play pretty intense hockey. So I like I definitely think the US has a good chance at really hanging in this tournament and doing very well at the tournament. But one thing that I did pick up on looking at their forward construction was they actually have a lot of lefties. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was 10 out of their 13 forwards that they have slotted in are, and 10 out of 12 that should be starting are lefties, which it's not. I think Finland's actually in the same boat. I think they also have the same number. So it's not that big of a deal. Like there have been, and I did some research into like how past teams have been constructed and in the previous international tournaments, the big ones, at least the 2016 World Cup of Hockey and then the Olympics too. And there have been teams that have gone pretty far with that forward construction where you have a lot of lefties. But the team that has won those tournaments has been Canada, and Canada has gone in with a basically an even split in this tournament too. I think they're like 6-7 when it comes to lefties versus righties. Either one way or the other. I don't remember which hand they had more of, but you get the idea. It's split down the middle. So does that matter? Are you diving too deep into little details? The reason that I looked at it is because it stood out to me just from someone who's played the game before and has watched the game quite a bit over the years, has a pretty deep understanding of hockey and just the way offense works more so than defense. I know offense way better than defense, but the reason that it matters is because when you're setting up plays in the offensive zone, one, breakouts matter. So not even just in the offensive zone, but breaking the puck out of your zone. You got a lefty on the right wing. Not everybody's comfortable with that. Not every winger is comfortable receiving the puck on their backhand. Obviously, these guys are NHL players. You can do it. You receive the puck either way, but still, you have your strong. You have your preferences, right? Like and there's a reason why they put lefties on left wing and righties on right wing. It's because it's easier to get the puck up the ice to those wingers. It's cleaner. Not everyone is comfortable playing that opposite wing. Like obviously, like a guy on Tampa, Kucherov, he plays right wing. He's a lefty. He's comfortable doing it, but not every winger is, or not every forward or winger is comfortable doing that. So that's something to keep an eye on is the breakouts, right? And if you can't break the puck out of your zone efficiently, you're not going to have an easy time offensively. You're not going to get a lot of like that. That's where it starts, right? Getting the puck up the ice quickly, cleanly. And I think that's going to matter. I think, is it make or break? Can teams adjust? Yeah, they'll, again, can figure it out. But in a tournament like this, where you got to win, you got to win your games. Like you can't afford to have a sleepy game one, and not be able to break out the puck cleanly in game one and be like, all right, whatever, we'll get him in the next game. And then before you know it, you're in game two, and those bad habits that you had from game one are still creeping in, and you're like halfway through game two, and you're like, and maybe you're down a goal or two, like if you're the Americans, and you're sitting there like, oh my God, like what's going on? And before you know it, you lose that game. That's it. You're done. So it's like it does matter in a tournament like this, where if it was the Olympics, maybe could be easier to get past that. Now, again, can they adjust? Can they figure it? Yeah, they can. This isn't something that I would, it would blow my mind if it really came down to that, but it might. It might. There's a chance. Like we'll see kind of how it plays out. Now, on the offensive side of things, where it matters is, your formations and kind of. So cycling wise, it's easier. Cycling the puck in the offensive zone when you have players of the same hand is easier, but looking for those one-timer opportunities. So like you're gonna have to set up on one side. You're not gonna be able to get like here. In this game I'm playing, right? So you got Boldy here. You got. I mean, I'm trying to set up a player for a one-timer. Like right now, like this opportunity, Marner's in the middle. You're not gonna have that for the U.S. You're not going to have those righties there. You're not going to be able to set up offense from that side. You're only going to be able to set up lefties for one-timers on the right side. And, that obviously you can look for different opportunities. I wonder how they're going to adjust to that. I wonder how they're going to kind of, are they going to look for more deflections? Are they going to kind of maybe put two people in front of the net, look for, get their D working? I mean, the U.S. has a pretty active offensive group of defensemen, so maybe they're going to be looking for different types of opportunities, using their defensemen more offensively, and it should be interesting. I mean, obviously you still got some hell of a offensive group for the States. I mean, you got. I just want to pull up their rosters too, just so I'm not missing anybody. But you got Matthews, you got Hughes, you got Eichel, and Eichel's one of the righties, but. You have a great group of forwards there for the U.S. that should be able to produce in a bunch of different ways. Hold on, I'm just trying to pull up these rosters so we can talk about it. There we go. No, that's Canada's roster. I mean, just looking at Canada, so I'm kind of bump, back and forth here. We will get into Sweden and Finland a little bit too, but looking at Canada, I mean, you got. I heard their power play, like the way they're setting up their power play one is insane. It's like Crosby, McKinnon, McDavid, Reinhart, and Makar, which is unbelievable. Like, oh my God, that's gonna be nuts. I holy, what a power play that is. But if you look at the way, at least is the way NHL had their line. I'm sure they actually had different line combinations today because I know Canada practiced. I don't know who else practiced or not, but your top six is McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby, Marchand, Reinhart, and Marner. You got a blend. You got three lefties, three righties. A lot of different looks you can get with those guys, and I'm telling you, I think it's definitely gonna make a difference. Having that one timer option for some of these players, especially with guys like, I mean, Reinhardt's a shoot first guy. McKinnon obviously has been passing like crazy this year. I think he's got, I don't know how. I mean, I know he's got almost 90 points, but guy can rip it with the best of them. It's gonna be a different look for their offense that will the US be able to match that? And just looking back at their roster, their construction, I mean, they have Miller, Eichel, Kachuk, Connor, Matthews, and Hughes. So that's what NHL had as their top six. Again, I don't know what the actual, like, how they actually constructed it in practice today. I don't know if the US practiced today or not. I'm not sure, but let's say that is their top six that they're going with. You got five lefties there, different looks. You have shooters. Matthews is a shooter. Eichel can, I mean, he's right up there with the best of them again with the shot. But it's a bit of a different look, and I think where the U.S. is going to kind of, if they are going to have success in this tournament, it's because they have high-end talent. They absolutely, everybody in this tournament has some level of high-end talent, but I think that the U.S. kind of they have the construction of a team that can grind out a three game stretch and find a way. Like, just their fourth line right now, Trocheck, Nelson, and Boldy, like that's gonna be I think a really solid fourth line. And I mean, just as I'm a Ranger fan, so I've seen a lot of Trocheck. That's a guy you want in your bottom six. Like, he, in this tournament, obviously in the Rangers, he plays a bigger role, but that's a guy you want in your bottom six. Like, he's gonna make a big impact, winning big faceoffs, and they might use him in that sense where, say the U.S. has an offensive zone draw, and they're like, hey, we kind of want a clean win. Throw Trocheck out there, he'll win you to draw, and then have him come make a change and get put Eichel back out there, but put Trocheck out there for the draw. Whereas with Canada, do they have that player? Let's see who they're. I guess you could say Cirelli could be that guy for Canada. So this is it's close. That's the thing. It's so close that I don't know. I like the U.S. Maybe I'm biased because I'm American, but I like the U.S. I think, and that's another thing with Canada. Like, you have all this talent on the ice. How are they gonna work as a group? I don't know. Or it looks great on paper, but sometimes what looks really good on paper maybe doesn't translate as well on the ice. I mean, these are all guys that they expect to have the puck on their stick most of the game. Like, you look at Canada's top six: McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby, Marner. I would Reinhart and Marchand maybe not so much, but those four guys, Marner, McKinnon, McDavid, and Crosby, those are four guys that they expect to have the puck most of the time when they're in the offensive zone. And now you got three of them on the same line. How's that going to work out? I don't know, because even when you want to say, okay, McDavid plays with Draisaitl, but McDavid's the guy. He's mainly running he's the heartbeat. Like, obviously, people have talked about it extensively. Draisaitl is a great player on his own, doesn't need McDavid, but when they're at their peak, it's McDavid to Draisaitl. It's not Draisaitl to McDavid, even though it's happened plenty of times. It's McDavid over to Draisaitl because McDavid's the guy carrying the puck. And when it came to Colorado and Rantanen was still there, it was McKinnon to Rantanen. It wasn't really Rantanen to McKinnon. And that's why McKinnon's got so many assists this year, because he's the guy driving the offense. He's the guy finding the open man. So those are two people that they expect to drive off, and then Crosby too. Crosby, out of the whole group there, he's probably the one that can, you know, adjust. I mean, you could make Crosby a fourth line center, and it'll be like, all right, whatever, I'll do whatever it takes to win, boys. I'm Sidney Crosby. I'm Canadian through and through, and yeah, like that. That's Crosby. He doesn't care. He'll figure it out. But those other guys, I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna work. We haven't seen them in. Yes, we saw them in 2016 a little bit. Got a little taste of it, but it's different now. These guys are older. They're play drivers. They're superstars in the league. They're getting paid big money. How are they gonna mesh? I'm not sure. But now also looking at Canada's bottom six, I mean, you got Mark Stone in there. You got Hagel, Point, Sorrell. A lot of lightning. That's crazy that Cooper really took a lot of his guys. But, I mean, for good reason. They're all great players. Should be interesting to see. Sam Bennett, I mean, oh my God. He's going to be a nightmare. in a good way for them. I'm going to take a little bit of a look at, I know I kind of focused on the U.S. and Canada there a little bit. I didn't even talk about the defense. We might get into that a little bit. I just want to look at the offenses for the other teams. The reason that I did focus on those two teams is because I think that they are the heavy favorites. I like the U.S. still. That's probably my pick for who wins the tournament. But I think that it's Canada, U.S. Pick your poison. One or the other, I think, is going to come out on top, because you look at the other groups, and I actually did a little. I'll get into that in a little bit, but just looking at like Sweden's construction, their 1C right now is Zibanejad. Again, Ranger fan here, so I'll be brutal, but I'm brutally honest. You don't want because Zibanejad is your number one center, especially when number one centers on the other teams are McDavid, and then U.S. has Eichel, and Finland has Barkov. And your number one center is Mika Zibanejad. Like, I mean, we kind of saw how Zibanejad did against Barkov in the playoffs last year. So, yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know. And then, go down the rest of their center depth. I mean, you got Elias Pettersson, who's just not having a good year. Can he turn it on for this tournament? Maybe. Is he still somebody that I view as being able to hang with the rest of the stars in this tournament? I don't know. I mean, we'll see. He has the talent. Pettersson absolutely has the talent. He's more than qualified to be able to do crazy things offensively. But will he? I don't know. Then you go down, really drops off. Joel Eriksson Ek and Leo Carlson. So you got a guy that I don't know how Ek's doing this year. I'm assuming he's having a solid year. But a lot of these, I'm gonna actually check. I know a lot of these, all the rosters were picked in December. And obviously with Sweden, we saw Raquel come in for William Karlsson. William Karlsson would have definitely been huge for the scene. Let's see how Ek's doing this year. I'm sure he's probably having a good year. He's on Minnesota, so he's probably doing pretty good. 23 points in 41 games. I don't know about that, because I mean, you look at the other three C's on the other teams. I mean, Dylan Larkin for Dylan Larkin for the U.S. Larkin's, I think, either a point a game or almost a point a game this year. Detroit's been awesome recently. Yeah, 50 points in 55 games. And then you look at, I think it's Point. I'm pretty sure it's Braden Point for Canada. And, I mean, I know he's had an unreal. I mean, the guy's been a stud in the league for a good while now. He's got 58 point. I mean, so you have two guys that are basically point a game players as your three C's on Canada and the U.S. And let's check Finland. I'm sure Finland's depth is. Mikael Granlund. Finland's deeper down the middle. Wow, that's really. Finland might be a good squad for this tournament, low key. Mikael Granlund, who's been having an unreal year, just got traded to Dallas. Sorry, I paused my game here, guys. I'm sorry. I got nerdy. I wanted to take a look at some of the stats here. We'll get back into the game while I talk. Yeah, Mikael Granlund, 49 points in 56 games. I mean, I'm sorry, guys, but that's center depth. All three of these teams are really icing. Three teams being Finland, Canada, and the U.S. I mean, I'm just looking at Finland's roster now too. I mean, your top two centers, Barkov and Aho. Like those are really that is vastly better than Zibanejad and Pedersen. Like that's just not even close. So, and to me, the reason I'm talking a lot about the centers is because yes, the whole team matters. Whoever your whole, I mean, you have some great wingers on all these teams, Sweden included, but usually the teams that find ways to win, and it's not even international hockey alone. I mean, you're talking about any level of hockey, NHL, wherever you look play. You look at teams that make it to the Stanley Cup final, their center depth, and what maybe they didn't have the best center depth, earlier in the year, but they click in the playoffs and they find a way. Like, and it's just 1 through 4, all your centers just kind of find a way to. And I mean, they're the play drivers, right? I mean, they're really the play drivers on your team, and having a strong center group is really, really important, especially in a format like this. And I don't know, Sweden does not have it. And their fourth line center for Sweden is Leo Carlson. Obviously, Anaheim's high on the player. I actually have him on this team here for the challenge that I'm doing to try to get those collectibles. I have a Leo Carlson 86 overall card. I think he will be a pretty good player in the NHL. I think he's had some good moments, but right now, right now, I mean, I don't even know how has he been doing this year. Let's take a look. I don't think he's been doing that great this year. I mean, nobody Anaheim's been doing a little bit better. I'm forgive me for that. 19 points in 48 games. Again, it's your fourth line. Is it going to make that much of a difference? No. But who's killing your penalties on Sweden? Right? I mean, who's killing penalties for Sweden? Who's your center killing penalties? Who do you have? You're going to put Zibanejad out there to kill penalties? I don't know, guys. Like, I don't know. Again, as someone who has watched plenty of Mika Zibanejad over the past few years, I mean, he's just not the same player that he was when he got to New York. He's had a bad year. He's just had a bad year. You can't sugarcoat that. And you're going to be leaning on him for 1C minutes, probably power play minutes, where power play does well, at least. So he's done pretty well in the past. He's done okay. I mean, he's basically got, I think, most of his goals this year, which haven't been many, but most of them have been on the power play. So that'll be good for them at least. But yeah, I don't know. Sweden really just doesn't have a good center group. So and then you look at the wingers, like for Sweden, Jesper Bratt. I think he's probably having a pretty solid season. I know he's been great for the Devils over the past few years. So assuming they got him at first line left wing, he's probably having another good year. Nylander, I know, has been great for Toronto this year. I think he's second in goals in the NHL, so shouldn't be any problems there. And he's been awesome. Like he could have a really good tournament. I think he's going to be a standout. I think he's going to be one of the best players in the tournament. Nylander. You got Lucas Raymond, who's been really good for Detroit. Philip Forsberg, who I think turned his season around a little bit. I know Nashville hasn't been good this year, but I think Forsberg kind of turned it around a little. Should probably take a look at both of those guys, see how they're doing. So I think we're going to also play another game of Hut here because there's definitely more I want to talk about with this tournament. So we still got to keep grinding these challenges. Again, sorry, it's not the most competitive. It's not the most competitive gameplay, guys, but it helps. It's easier to grind these challenges on Rookie and just talk to you about this topic than sweating hard in a online game or superstar squad battles. It's much easier to talk playing on Rookie. So hope you enjoy the easy goals. But it does matter. Again, if you want these cards, you could do these challenges on rookie. Highly recommend it if you're someone looking to just grind out some collectibles and stuff like that. Um, and yeah, when you look at the rest of Sweden's forward group, I mean, you got Adrian Kempe, he's been great for LA. Elias Lindholm, who definitely hasn't lived up to expectations. Boston hasn't been good this year. I don't know all these guys' stats off the top of my head, but I know Boston hasn't been that good this year, so I don't think Lindholm was having a good year. Ricard Raquel, who's been great. They have him on the fourth line, but I feel like you could the guy's got 20-something goals, I think, for Pittsburgh, a bad Pittsburgh team. So probably could get away with putting Raquel higher in the lineup. I mean, well, yeah, I'd put Raquel over Lindholm. Raquel's got to be doing better than Lindholm. Come on, get out of here. Hold on, I got to see this. Should have probably just pulled this up on the screen. All these stat lines I'm pulling up here. Lindholm has, 29 points in 57 games. I know Raquel's doing better than that. Raquel's definitely doing better than that. Ricard Raquel has 25 goals and 23 assists for 48 points. Minus 14, though, but it's Pittsburgh. 48 points in 56 games. So I don't know how you don't put Raquel over Lindholm. I'm sure they did. Again, I don't know who practiced today besides Canada, but I would be shocked if Raquel is not higher. Now, you might even put Raquel over Raymond, honestly, even though Raymond's been pretty good for Detroit this year, too. But I don't know. It's crazy that Raquel was a late add, too. But whatever, he's in. No way. All right, I got to get my first line back out there. I don't know how many goals I got with the players that I was supposed to this game. I know we got a few with Marner, and we'll see where we are in the challenge. I got to get some with Boldy. We're close. I know I'm like 10 goals off for all of them, so it should be done with that pretty soon and get that 88 overall player, which should be nice. All right, let's see. What else are we working with? And then Gustav Nyquist is the 13th forward for Sweden, so we'll see what they do with him. But yeah, I don't know. This to me, this is the weakest forward group in the tournament, which is surprising, because I know a lot of people usually look at Finland and compare Finland. Obviously, huge rivalry with Sweden, but most of the time people look at Finland and Sweden and they're like, Sweden's overall the better team usually, but Finland up front looks way better. That center depth 100%. I'm gonna take a look at Finland's entire forward group here too. But we went through their centers a little bit, and I'm sorry, but I don't know. Their centers look. If your centers are looking better, I'm sure their wingers are fine too. But let's take a look right now. So we got Arturi Lehkonen, who's been unbelievable for Colorado this year. I think he's got 20-something goals, if I'm not mistaken. You got Alexander Barkov and Mikko Rantanen. I mean, that is one heck of a first line. Second line is Patrick Laine, Sebastian Aho, and I always struggle with his name. Teuvo? Is it Teuvo Teravainen? I think it's Teuvo. Tough name. Tough. I'm not the greatest with Finnish names. Apologies. But Teravainen, I think Teravainen's had a pretty. No, he's back on Chicago now, so I don't know how good Teravainen. We'll have to take a look at that one. Laine's obviously been Laine's tricky, right? Laine's tricky. Laine could either be lights out, score 2 goals in a game, 3 goals in a game. Just every shot he takes goes in, or he can be completely irrelevant and a liability defensively. So he's obviously cooled off. I mean, he had a great run coming, finally come back from injury for Montreal this year, scored a bunch of goals, but recently, hasn't been as good. Is this the tournament that he picks it right back up? And then when he comes back to Montreal in a couple of weeks and he starts clicking with Montreal again, maybe. Could be. I mean, you're on a line with Aho. That's a guy that can definitely set you up for those one-timers again, like I was talking about. Laine's a righty playing on the left side. He loves that side. He loves his off wing. Maybe playing with Aho is gonna, create some really good opportunities for him. And let's see what else we got going here. We got Rope Hintz, who I'm sure is doing. I mean, the guy's been awesome for Dallas for the past few years. I'm sure he's having a good year. Granlund we talked about, and Capo Kako, who is coming over from the Rangers to Seattle and has been a completely different player in Seattle. No surprise. I mean, the Rangers didn't know what they had with Kako, and he's been great for Seattle. So maybe, but again, in this tournament, he's back on the third line. So, is he going to be as effective on the third line as he is on the first line in Seattle? I don't know. Because on the third line for the Rangers, he was okay. He wouldn't make many mistakes, which maybe is what Finland wants from him. Maybe they want the Kako from. Oh, let's see how many goals we got with the guys that we needed. We got 4 with Marner, which is huge. Lindell, we got 3. That's big. Boldy, we got 2. Did we even get 1 with Carlson? I don't even think we didn't get 1 with Carlson. Crap, man. All right, well, we got a few with the other guys, so that's good. Should be getting closer. I'm going to check the progress on that challenge. But yeah, maybe they bring in Kako here to just, hey, don't make mistakes. Be smart with the puck. And if you get a chance, go for it. But just, be smart. And fourth line, I mean, this is Florida's fourth line. Luosterainen. I think it's Luosterainen. No. God, I'm sorry, guys. These Finnish names are tough. He's from Florida. I think it's Luosterainen. I'm not 100%. Sorry if I butchered it. Anton Lundell. I had 2 great players, just cup champs. Great to have in your bottom. And what a bottom. That's a really good bottom 6, man. And Joel Armia. And Eric Hall is your extra forward. I mean, great fourth line. That's a fourth line. That's a tournament fourth line like that. I'm sorry, but Finland's got a really good forward group. When we get to defense, it's going to be a little different, though, because Finland does not have as good of a defense, not even close, as the other teams. But offensively, Finland looks really good. Really good. And I'll take. I didn't really finish up with the U.S. or Canada, but I mean, I got to most of these guys. I didn't really talk about Canada's fourth line entirely. Well, no, I kind of did. I just missed Konechny. I mean, Konechny's tricky because from Philly, is he a fourth line guy in this tournament? I don't know. Maybe you got Seth Jarvis there as your extra. Maybe Jarvis is the one. I don't know if Konechny's going to be. I know he can play both sides of the puck, so he could adjust. But this is a guy, again, who is, like I was talking about before, with some of these guys that are going to have to adjust to playing different roles. Like Konechny is used to getting big minutes in Philly, and on this team, he's not getting big minutes. He's going to play a fraction of the game. So how's he going to respond to that? I don't know, but really good player there. And yeah, I mean, we kind of went through Canada's offense for the most part. Let's see, did we cover all the U.S.? Just want to make sure before I get into the defense here. And we'll talk a little bit about the goalies. And while we play this game here, let's check that challenge. Let's check that challenge and see how we're doing. The U.S. we kind of talked about for the most part. I didn't mention Gensel. Just look. Oh, I didn't get. All right. I think I'm like 10 goals. I meant to back out, but whatever. It's okay. Yeah, the U.S. I know they have Matthew and Brady Tkachuk on separate lines, but like you have to put those guys on the same line, man. You have to put those guys on the same line. Come on. I mean, they got JT Miller on the first line here. Like, I don't know, man. Is JT Miller really? I know the guy's done good before, but Brady Tkachuk's doing way better than JT Miller this year. Even as someone who's now, he's on a team that I cheer for, but JT Miller's not Brady Tkachuk. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know how you put Brady Tkachuk on the third line. Or Jake Gent. I mean, well, Gensel he's been good. Don't get me wrong. He's been good, but Gensel hasn't been, like the Gensel, like he's still, I think he's still on pace for 40 though, which is great. Like, it's just, there's always like more to be, like we look at Gensel and we're like, hey, he's a 40 goal guy, but like he could be a 50 goal guy. That's how I see him, at least. Like he could score 50. He could even score 60 maybe, but he's not like gonna get like 40 this year, which is fucking nuts. But yeah, I mean, I would Brady Tkachuk over JT Miller. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know what the U.S. is planning here, but I would put Brady Tkachuk over JT Miller 100%. 100%. I would do that. And then your fourth line, we kind of went over a little bit. You got Boldy, Nelson, Trocheck. So yeah, we kind of went through the four groups. You know, I didn't go as in depth with Canada and the U.S. as I did with Finland and Sweden. But I mean, again, guys, you know, you're running. You got Matthews, you got Eichel, got the Tkachuks, you got like very, very, very strong top two lines for both of those teams. And you know, again, my question was, how is it going to translate when you have so many guys that are used to having the puck on their stick, maybe not having it as much, which is something that's actually interesting with the U.S. I mentioned it with Canada, but with the U.S., it's not so much the case, because you have Matthew Tkachuk, Jack Eichel, and JT Miller on one line, right? Supposedly, I don't know how accurate this is, but these are lines that I saw from at least like a week ago, which again, it could be different now, but if this was the line, Eichel's the play driver there. Tkachuk's not a play driver. At least not to the level that McKinnon is, right? Like he can absolutely drive the play. At least I don't look at him in that way. Maybe he is. Maybe I haven't watched enough of Florida. Maybe he is that type of player. I know Matthew Tkachuk's a great player, but I don't look at a Matthew Tkachuk and say like, okay, he's gonna really be the one, you know, galloping around the zone, setting up plays. Like he's a finisher. He'll score, you know, the sandpaper goals. He can rush the puck up the ice, but you know, he's a guy that, yeah, Barkov's the one that's driving the play in Florida, right? He's the guy that you would normally think of as like the possession guy, and Tkachuk's more of the finisher. So it could work. Whereas Eichel is a play driver. I'd look at Eichel and say, yeah, he's someone driving the play in Vegas, and he's in between Miller and Tkachuk. Which, if that's the line, or if it's both Tkachuks on that line with Eichel, yeah, that could work. Because I think both of the Tkachuks would be absolutely fine to park their asses in front of net and let Eichel, you know, figure it out. Like, here you go, Jack. You go, you know, you can take it in, and we'll just, you know, we'll go cause havoc in front of the net. I think both of those guys have no problem doing that. You know, they don't need the puck on their stick the entire shift. Like, they're fine, right? And then you look at that second line. You got Matthews, Hughes, and Kyle Connor. This is kind of a similar situation, right? Like, Matthews is a little different, because even though he shoot first, I would still say Matthews it can be a play driver. Like he's someone that, and when I say that again, I mean like guys that are, you know, they're possessing the puck. They're the ones bringing it in. They're the ones setting up plays. Matthews is definitely that guy, but I don't think Matthews would have a problem letting Jack Hughes be that guy, because Jack Hughes is absolutely that type of player. Like he's a, you know, pass first, likes to rush in, likes to set up plays. I think that Jack Hughes would definitely, in this situation, if it's them two playing together, yeah, I think, you know, Hughes is going to be looking to be setting up Matthews, and I have no problem with that. And Kyle Connor, by the way, who's unbelievable. But Kyle Connor's the same way. He's a shooter, right? So there's actually a pretty good mix for the U.S., which is why I like the way their lineup looks, even though maybe it doesn't pop out as much as Canada's top six. It's still a hell of a top six, but maybe it's not as shiny as Canada's. It's, again, still really good, but it's different in the way that you don't have three guys on one line that all want the puck all the time. Like, there's guys that are like, yeah, I'll float around the zone a little bit and wait for my moment, because I know, hey, I score like crazy in the NHL. You know, I'll wait for my shot. Like, I don't need to have the puck this entire shift. It's okay. So that could be interesting. That could be interesting for the U.S. Again, obviously, you know, Canada can adjust. right? They can adjust. But when you're in a tournament like this and every game matters as much as it does, you know, is that how quick will these players adjust? Like how quick will the US adjust to having the amount of lefties that they do? How quick will they adjust to their breakouts and being, on opposite wings? And I know some of these guys probably do play. Maybe they do play their off wing. Like I want to check real quick with the U.S. again to see. I think Jack Hughes does play right wing. Yeah, so some of these guys do play. They do play the right wing in the NHL too. So, but just because you are like in that position in the NHL doesn't mean, how do I put it? Like there's still just that comfort level. I know Brady Tkachuk plays middle 100%. So I think actually with the US, I think Matthew Tkachuk is a right wing. So it might be fine. It might be fine with the way they constructed it. It might work. So maybe the breakouts won't be as much of a problem as we talked about before. Maybe, but still offensive setups that still stands, right? It still matters. Yeah, they're actually not giving me his position here. That's kind of interesting. I think Matthew Tkachuk does play right wing for the Panthers. So yeah, he does. So that'll be fine. I don't know what Jack Hughes played. I thought Jack Hughes was a center. That's crazy. I've seen him so much playing against the freaking Rangers, and yeah, he is a center. Okay, so that's strange. I mean, it's not. I get it. Yeah, Hughes on the wing. Okay, so it's only Tkachuk. It's only Tkachuk that usually play. I know I'm pretty sure Brady Tkachuk plays middle too. So yeah, there's some adjusting here for that roster. But without getting into that too much, I think we can move on. I think it's safe to move on to the defenseman here. I know there's a lot to talk about, but anyway, I guess we could start with Sweden's defense. So Sweden's defense is definitely much better than their offense. It is night and day. You got Victor Hedman, Rasmus Dahlin, Gustav Forsling, Erik Karlsson, Matthias Ekholm, Rasmus Andersson, and your extra is Jonas Brodin. I can't. I guess the only thing that I'll say, can I even pick a bone with this is the fact that Hedman and Dahlin are both lefties. But other than that, guys, I don't know if you look at this defense and you say that they're not right up there with the best of them. I mean, Hedman's Hedman. He's been unbelievable for Tampa for, the past decade. Dahlin has been one of Buffalo's lone bright spots over the past few years. He's unreal. Very similar players. I mean, Swedish defensemen are Swedish defensemen. If you watched enough hockey, if you know hockey, you know that the way specifically Swedish lefty defensemen are very often the same mold, and that they're strong on the puck. Their puck possession is unbelievable. The way they can break the puck out is unreal. They're great skaters. They're smart, like that, and I mean you have that in all the lefties with Hedman, Dahlin, Forsling, and Ekholm. That's like you want prototypical Swedish defenseman. That's your prototypical Swedish defenseman, like that. All four of those guys, you can't. Though I guess you look at Erik Karlsson and Rasmus Andersson, and you can say, okay, weakens a little bit there, but again, with the strength of those other four guys, like, yeah, you can make an Erik Karlsson work, you can make a Rasmus Andersson work. They're fine. They're good NHL players. Maybe they're not elite like the others are. Karlsson was elite. He still gets points, but Erik Karlsson isn't the same Erik Karlsson that he was a few years ago, obviously. But this is a great group. Like, this is a phenomenal group of defensemen. I don't think they're going to cause many of the problems for Sweden. Like, if Sweden loses this tournament, I don't think you're going to look back and be like, maybe they should have had a different defense core, right? Like, I don't think that's going to be the issue. So, yeah, definitely really good group of defensemen for Sweden. And not much else to say there, guys. I mean, that's They should be fine. No problems there. I guess I can take a look at the goalie too. We'll just do defense and goalie together. I think Olmark is the one that's starting for Sweden. And then you have Gustafsson and Eriksson. I don't know if one of them got hurt or not. I'm not 100%. I know somebody got hurt for Sweden, if I'm not mistaken, in that. So it was Markstrom. So Olmark's taking over. I don't know how Olmark's done this year, but I think the goalies it's so hard to judge goalies in a tournament like this. You know, again, it's the equivalent of like sometimes a goalie gets hot in the playoffs, right? Sometimes a goalie just finds a way to have a really good stretch of games at just the perfect time, and that's it, like, so I can't really sit here and I mean, if you're looking at, okay, who's the best in net in this tournament, it's the state, it's 100% the U.S. Like, there's no doubt in my mind about that. I mean, you got Hellebuck as your starter like that. He's the best of the group for sure, but Omar can absolutely have a good couple of games, like as can all of these goalies, as can Canada's and Finland, all of these goalies can have a good tournament, right? So yeah, looking at I can't really go too much in depth on the goalies. I don't think it's really worth it, but Olmark's fine. Olmark's fine. Even if it ends up going to Gustafsson or Eriksson, I mean, Eriksson, if they get down to Eriksson, they might have some problems. Nothing against Eriksson, but that's, you're going a little too deep in the goalie pipeline there for this tournament. So you don't want to get to Eriksson. But if it switches over to Gustafsson, I think he can be fine too. Now, when it comes to, let's take a look at the U.S. defensive group. I mean, another great one. Obviously, you don't have Quinn Hughes anymore. He is injured. And Sanderson comes in from Ottawa. Now, Sanderson, I think, is a great replacement. I don't think you have any problems there. When it comes to the rest of the left side, you're looking at Jacob Slavin from Carolina, Zach Werenski from Columbus, and Hannafin's the extra defenseman for the U.S. Right side, you have Charlie McAvoy, Adam Fox, and Brock Faber. Great group of defensemen. I don't look at them the same way I look at Sweden's defense, though. I don't. I think that this group, if you're looking at like Sanderson's a good low-key, Sanderson is a really good replacement because I think he'll work for the tournament. I haven't seen enough of Quinn. I've heard that Quinn Hughes has gotten better on the defensive side of the puck. I know he's had a great year. He's probably been the Canucks, saving grace this season. If they make it, it's because of him. So he's definitely gotten better on the defensive side of the puck. But if I'm looking at, again, in this tournament, which is akin to a playoff series, would I have wanted Quinn Hughes versus Victor Hedman or Quinn Hughes versus let me look at the first defenseman for the other teams. Finland, you could have gotten away with. Finland's got a really bad defense, guys. Oh my god. Oh, sorry, Finland. Quinn Hughes versus Makar or Hedman. I would take the other two. And now it's Sanderson. The U.S. has a great defense. They have a great defense, but I don't think it's the best defense in the tournament. I think it's the third best. I think Canada and Sweden have better defense groups than the U.S. Even though the U.S. may have the most points from their back end, because I mean you're working with, well, not anymore because Hughes is gone. So I don't know about that statement anymore. But McAvoy, Fox, Faber. Hell, I'd probably put Faber higher in that lineup. I'd probably put Faber over Fox. Fox is not the defenseman he was when he won the Norris Trophy this season. He's not. Is he a good defenseman? Yeah, absolutely. But he hasn't been anywhere near the level he can be this season. I don't think he will break out in this tournament. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. But the guy has not been, playing at the level that you would expect him to. So, and McAvoy, I mean, Boston hasn't been doing that good, right? Like, yes, these are great players. They're great players. They're, again, in a short format tournament like this, can they have a great couple of games? Yeah, absolutely. But if I'm betting money on a defense group, I'm not taking the U.S. defense group. I'm not crazy about them. They don't pop off the paper as much as the other groups do to me. At least Finland, yeah, I'll take them over Finland. Take anything over Finland's defense group. Sorry, Finland, but yeah, rough defense group for Finland. But the U.S., I mean, could make it work. But where the U.S. makes up for their interesting defense group, I think, is in net. You got Hellebuck, Ottinger, and Swayman. I mean, that's a great group of goalies. If you want to look at a group of goalies that can be difference makers, I mean, Hellebuck can change. You know how a couple of years ago when they did the playoffs in the bubble, there were teams that didn't want to play against Carey Price from Montreal in a 7-game, they were thinking of doing, like, in the qualifying round that year, they were thinking of doing a one game series or 3-game series. And there were players in the NHL that didn't want to do that against Montreal because, like, Carey Price can absolutely steal a 3-game series. I look at Hellebuck and I say that's the same type of guy. Hellebuck can absolutely have a lights out couple of games here. So yeah, that should be a huge strength for the US in that 100%. And he can make their defense look way better. Any deficiency that may be there on the US defense, which again, you also have Slavin and Werenski in there, so I'm not going to ignore Slavin and Werenski because those are two really strong left-handed defensemen that can play with the best of them. So that could make up for my issues with the McAvoys and the Foxes. And I mean, I get it's even. It's just, again, it just doesn't stand out the way the other defense groups do to me. Just whatever stats may say, just the eye test for these guys versus Sweden and Canada, I'm still taking those two defense groups over the U.S. But again, you got Hellebuck back there, could make them look way, way better. So with that being said, move on to Canada, and then we'll talk about Finland too. Oh my goodness, Finland. Oh, we're on Finland now. All right, Finland. Nico Mikkola, Esa Lindell, Olli Maatta, Rasmus Ristolainen, Juuso Välimäki, Henri Jokiharju, and Urho Vakanainen. Man. I can't believe. It's crazy to me that Finland has not produced better defensemen. Like, what the heck, man? How are there not better Finnish defensemen? What's going on in Finland? Where are their defensemen? What are we doing? Come on. Be better, Finland. Be better. Look, are all these guys serviceable NHL players? Yep. All serviceable. Are they the best of the best in a four-country tournament? No, they're not even close. Not even close. I can't sugarcoat this one. I know a lot of this video I have been praising, most of the guys on these teams. I mean, most of these teams have phenomenal rosters top to bottom. But I'm sorry, guys. There's probably defense groups in the AHL that are stronger than this Finnish defense group, and I'm not even exaggerating. Like, I really think that. Again, these are all serviceable NHL players. Don't get me wrong; they're you know, yeah, I don't know, guys. That's a tough defense group. That's a tough defense group, and you know, maybe it works. Maybe they find a way. Because again, you also have to think like, okay, how are these teams gonna play? So Finland, I think Finland's coaching staff will be well aware that hey, we don't have Victor Hedman or Kale McCarr or Adam Fox, but we got a group of 6 defensemen that the block shots should be able to get the puck out, right? I mean, they're at the end of the day they're playing in the NHL, so they can do the things that we need them to, right? Defense wise. So maybe they make it work. And sometimes, there's something to be said for that. Like sometimes a group like this can click again for a short period of time. You're talking 3 games and then a final. Maybe it works for 3 games in a final. Who knows? Maybe they buy into Finland's system. Maybe the system really works well for this group of 6 defensemen. But if you're just looking, eye test, what am I looking at with this defense group? I don't know, guys. It's kind of, tough. But we'll see what they do. In net, you got Lankinen, Saros, and Luukkonen. Again, Saros used to be way better. I think he's done a little bit better since, again, Nashville's just had a bad year, so it's kind of tough to judge any of these guys on when they're having such a down year overall as a team. But, are they starting Lankinen? I don't know if they're starting Lankinen or not. Good NHL goalies? Are they Hellebuck game changer goalies right now? No, none of them. So, we'll see. Again, when you're dealing with a tournament like that, I keep saying it because it's so quick. Every game matters so much. Can any of these goalies get hot for 2 weeks? Yeah, they can. But are they the best on paper? No, they're not. So, Finland's strength is on offense, which is interesting because I feel like in years past, Finland has not had the best, like that they've had great, there's been great Finnish players, over the years, obviously. I mean, Timo Solani, Jari Kurri, and you go down the line, but, they're never a team that you look at and say, wow, they have a really good, 1 through 4, forward line group. And yeah, they're pretty good. Like they got some good high end talent. They got some really good players. Offensively, Finland looks as good as they've ever looked in a tournament like this. When the best players in the world are there. When you look at defense and goaltending, that's definitely going to be the most intriguing storyline, I think, for this group. And it'll be interesting to see how the Finnish coaching staff works with these players and what they do to kind of try to get the most out of them. And with that being said, let's move on. Last but not least, the freaking Canadians. The boogeyman of the tournament. But on defense, Canada's good. They're good, but they're still not Sweden. They're still not Sweden. I like Canada's defense more than the U.S., and I'll get into why. But I think Sweden has the best defense. Anyway, Canada's got Cale Makar, Devon Toews. I mean, great. Sorry, I don't know if I hope I didn't butcher his name. I don't say his name too much, just because I don't really watch that much Colorado. I think it's Devon Toews. I don't think it should be. Sorry if I butchered it, but obviously they play together in Colorado. Colorado's been a great team over the years. They know each other well. They play together. Great 1-2 punch there. There's something to be said for familiarity. When you're playing with a defense partner that you play with all year. I mean, what a transition that is, right? Like there's not going to be an adjustment period for Makar and Toews. They know how they play. They can read each other. That's that's definitely where I think, like, that alone is why I would bump Canada's defense over the U.S. Because you got these two guys that are elite players, play together all year in Colorado, and now they're just seamlessly transitioning into being the top pair for Canada. Yeah, that should be good for them. Then you got Shea Theodore, Colton Parayko. Interesting to, well, actually, Drew. So I don't know where Drew Doughty's going to fit into this. I don't know if they're going to put in Drew Doughty over Colton Parayko. They might, because Doughty was the replacement for Pietrangelo. So I don't know what they're going to do. I think they will. I don't see why. I don't think Parayko's having that great of a year that they would justify putting him over Doughty. I mean, Doughty's playing almost 30 minutes a night in LA. He's got pedigree. I think he'll probably be in over Parayko, but either way they go, good second pair, good puck movers. You'd have more size with Parayko, obviously, and more but Doughty could be a tough customer to play against. So yeah, either way they go there, I think they'll be fine. And then you got Sanheim and Morrissey. I don't know. Maybe Doughty goes in over Sanheim and Parayko stays in, because I don't know if Canada views Sanheim in the same way that they view the other two. But if Sanheim's in, I don't know if Sanheim is necessarily that would be the weak spot. I'm sure he's been solid. I know he's had pretty good. I wonder how he's doing this year. I'm actually going to take a look. But Morrissey's phenomenal. No problem there. I mean, I don't have to check that one. I want to see how Travis Sanheim's doing this year for Philly. 27. That's pretty good. That's probably why he made it, Nick. It's kind of stupid. Yeah, all right. So Sanheim's doing pretty good. So, yeah, I mean, really good group of defensemen, good puck movers, should be good on the penalty kill. Definitely some offensive flair there with Makar and Morrissey. And Theodore. I think Theodore may have a decent amount of points this year. I'm not 100% on that one, but I like their defense group. Their defense group to me is a group that I think can work in a tournament like this. This is a group that I would, if I was going into a 7-game playoff series, which this isn't, but it's even shorter. So I would want this group over the U.S. group. Do I have a a logic? This is more like an intuition thing. Like if I'm a coach and I'm like picking, like, all right, who do I think is gonna, win those battles, be able to get the puck up the ice, be strong, defensively, be responsible. I like Canada's group more than the U.S. Not Sweden. I take Sweden number one out of those the four teams. And with that being said, let's touch on their goalies, and then we can wrap up the video. It's been had a lot to talk about with this 1 hour and 8 minutes. Oh my goodness. Goalies, Adin Hill, Jordan Binnington, and Sam Montembeault. Definitely not the strongest goalies in the tournament. I think I would probably rank them number 3. I would probably definitely put the U.S. number 1. Number 2, I'd probably put Sweden. I'd probably take Sweden's goalies over. Yeah, just because of Ullmark. I think Ullmark's stronger than these goalies. I think all these goalies are like hovering around 900 save percentage. I don't think Ullmark's numbers are at that level. Not 100% on that one though. But yeah, these are all goalies. Well, 2 of them, Hill and Binnington, are goalies that have had really, really good playoff runs that led to Stanley Cups. Can they have a really good 3-4 games and win this tournament? Yeah, they can. But yeah, overall, they're, it's not Carey Price anymore. So if Canada has a really big weakness, it's in net. It's definitely in net. This is Canada's biggest weakness right now. And yeah, other teams are going to want to expose it. I mean, these guys aren't playing, I know what I said about Hill and Binnington, but they're not playing. It's not Hill and Binnington from 2 years ago and 4 years ago anymore, or 5, even long. No, sorry, 6 years ago for Binnington. So yeah, these are goalies that, they're not playing at the level that they have in the past. So definitely, and I don't think Montembeault's seeing that. So it's not a great group of goalies there, and you could definitely expose them if you're the other teams. So, with all that being said, I think we had a nice in-depth look at the 4 teams in a tournament. I am very excited for these games. I'm so happy that international hockey is back. I'm sure that I speak on behalf of most hockey fans that, maybe doesn't have all the teams that we want in an international tournament, but we'll take it at this point because of how stupid the NHL is with not doing these tournaments more often or letting their players go to the Olympics. I'm just happy that we're getting some international hockey. I'll take it at this point, and I think most people will too. So it should be a great tournament. I'm excited to watch. I'm still taking the U.S. I believe in my country here. I think the U.S. can get it done. But can Finland win? Yeah. Yeah, Finland can win. Can Sweden win? Yup. Can Canada win? Yeah. Any team can win this tournament. It's going to be great hockey. The U.S. is my pick. I think it'll be great. And I think, I'm going to go off the board, and I'm going to say the U.S. is going to play Finland in the final. So somehow Finland is going to overcome its lackluster defense and goaltending and find a way to play the U.S. in the final game. And I think the U.S. will beat Finland in the final game. And I will go as far as to say the U.S. will win 3-0 in the final game. That's my prediction against Finland. Just my gut feeling. Could I be absolutely wrong? Oh, yeah. 100%. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, just talking about the 4 nations and watching some Hut there. And make sure you guys, share your thoughts. Share your thoughts in the comments. Let me know who you think's gonna win the tournament. Who are you cheering for? And yeah, if you don't mind, like the video if you liked it. Click subscribe. Goes a long way. I appreciate you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next one. Bye for now.